You're listening to The Wedding Whisperer with Sarah Burton of Simply Love Studio in Lexington, Kentucky. Hi, Colleen. It's nice to meet you today.
It's nice to meet you too, Sarah.
I was thinking on the way over here to meet you, I think you are my first podcast guest that I did not know walking in to record the podcast.
Yeah.
So I am actually a little nervous today. I posted on Instagram a couple weeks ago that I was looking for a couple of couples that got married recently that I wanted to talk to them about their wedding and just get some feedback because those episodes have always done so well. And I know that people that are engaged want to hear from other people that have just gotten married and what you wish you would have done different and what you loved, all of those things. So thank you so much. Let's start with how you and your fiance met.
Yeah. So we actually met in mid school. We were both in school in Philly. We were in the same class, and one of my best friends was dating my now husband's roommate. And so she was spending a lot of time with him just at the house hanging out. And she told me, like, Colleen, I really feel like you would like this guy. I feel like you guys would get along. And she played the same role for him. She was telling him, I really think you would like Colleen. I think you get along. So it took a while, like, for us to text, and we were Snapchatting and all of that. And then finally, he worked up the courage to ask me on a date. The rest is history.
What is your fiance's name?
His name is Seth.
Seth. Okay. And how old were you when you met? Do you remember?
Ooh, yeah. Let's see this. 2016. I was 20. Is that right? 23. Oh my gosh. It feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah, I was 23.
Okay. And was he about the same age?
Yeah, he was 25.
Okay. And were you both from the Philly area?
No, so I grew up in the Philly area. He was actually from upstate New York.
Okay. And how did you end up in Lexington?
So I left med school. Plot twist is I'm not a practicing doctor, but he matched for residency at UK.
Okay.
Yep. So we're here for 5 years. Unfortunately, we're leaving this summer to go to North Carolina.
Okay.
But it's been great. Yeah. We've enjoyed Kentucky so much.
That's awesome. I always love asking people how they got to Lexington.
Yeah.
It's always a fun story.
Yeah. There's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of people that come to Lexington, and like the UK brings people together a lot. But I feel like there's a lot of diversity here.
Absolutely. How long were you together, like dating, before he proposed?
We were dating for about 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from the time you got engaged till the time you got married, what was the time frame on that?
So at that point, I think we took our time getting engaged too. I feel like we never really felt pressure from folks. But because we're leaving Lexington, at some point we're like, okay, if we want to get married in Lexington while we're here, we got to step it up and get things moving. We got engaged about 2 years ago, and it took about a year and a half from the engagement to the wedding.
So it was a destination wedding for all of your guests?
Yes.
That's awesome. I love when that's the case. And so many people are amazed by that because we're in such a good spot. And with UK, and so many people honestly meet at UK that everybody's coming here for the wedding.
Yeah.
So you got married in October, which is the most popular month to get married.
Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
What venue were you at?
We had our wedding at the Apiary downtown.
Did you have your ceremony there as well?
Yeah. So we did a little something different. We did basically a private ceremony with just our friends and family members. And then we invited everyone to cocktail hour, wedding reception at the venue.
Do you remember how many guests were at your ceremony?
We had, I think, 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because of the apiary size, you can't just invite everyone.
Yeah, no.
How many guests did you have on your initial guest list?
I think our initial guest list was about 150. And that took a lot of paring down, to be honest. We were like, we don't want to we didn't really want to burden people, that distant relatives and everything, because it's a destination wedding. So we tried to keep it to people that we really thought would enjoy being there and would like to take the time off to be there. So we invited 150, and then slowly that whittled down to the final number, which was 84.
And was that a UK football weekend?
It wasn't.
Okay.
But we did have Keeneland as part of our weekend. Yeah.
How did you incorporate that?
So actually, we got married on Friday night, which it was a really special date for me, October 18th. Both of my pairs of grandparents got married on October 18th. So that's always been a special date. And so my husband is Jewish, and in the Jewish heritage, 8 is like a lucky number. So even though Friday night isn't the best night for a wedding, we thought, oh, this is a perfect time to do it. So we had our wedding on Friday night, and then Saturday we had like a post-wedding tailgate. So we like rented out some tailgate space, had a bunch of food, got tickets for people, but invited a lot of local people that weren't invited to the wedding reception, but coworkers and things like that from UK. So we got to invite and see a lot of extra friends there.
And one of the benefits to getting married on a Friday is the apiary is a little bit more budget friendly that day. And anytime that someone says, I want to do the apiary, but it's out of my budget, I'm like, let's talk about a weekday.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a winter month. Everything about the apiary is as amazing as it looks like it is online.
Yes. Yeah. I swear, I feel like there's no time of year when the apiary is not absolutely stunning. And it was just as fun on a Friday night as I'm sure it would have been on a Saturday night.
And the food is 10 out of 10 every
Yes.
single time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The compliments we got on the food were probably just astounding. Everyone was like in awe by the food and the decor. Like we hardly had to do anything ourselves with the decor because the space is just so naturally beautiful. So that was a big thing for me, is like finding a space that we don't have to add a lot to. Like I didn't really want to start with a white blank box. I wanted it to just be like a space that felt charming on its own. So yeah, then it really sold us.
Did you look at any other venues?
Yeah, actually, we looked at the Manchester downtown. At the time we were looking, though, they were like not really ready to get into the wedding scene. And then I'm like a houseplant geek. I have 200 plants at home. Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's a little crazy. But I love like gardening, and I love flowers, and I love plants. So I looked at Wilson's Nursery in Frankfurt.
Yes.
And they were in the same boat where they just weren't quite ready to get back into the wedding scene. Like they took too long getting a quote back and things like that.
And I will say that Emily, you won't know her, but Emily from the Thoroughbred Center, she's the event coordinator there. And she got married at Wilson's pre-pandemic. It was beautiful. And
Yeah.
it rained on her wedding day. And even though it rained, everything was just, I still send people her blog because
Yeah.
it was so beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I saw some of the photos. They have done gorgeous weddings there, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. Yeah, it's beautiful.
And did you have a bridal party?
Yeah. Yeah, so we kept like the bridal parties to be the people who were coming to the ceremony. So it was like my sister, my brother's girlfriend, and a couple of our best friends, and then same on Seth's side.
And going into the wedding day, what were some of the most important things to you?
For us, we definitely prioritized food, which is why we landed on the apiary, because there's really no better place for the food. That is what makes us happy. Every date night, we go to a place that has really good food or really interesting food. We love cooking at home. So that was a big one. But we also really wanted something that felt intimate. So I had been talking about eloping for the longest time, but we just couldn't do that to our family because it's so special to them. And I'm the first one of my siblings to get married. So it's really important for my parents to be there and my siblings. So we wanted to find a space that felt very us, felt very customized to us, and felt private in a way. Didn't feel like a big stage or kind of a fanfare event. But yeah, like the apiary ended up having that. We did our ceremony on the kind of the courtyard in the back, right in front of the fireplace. We transformed that, and since my husband's Jewish, we had the huppah set up, and we had all of the chairs surrounding the huppah so we could feel like we were being surrounded by our family on all sides, which was a really pretty idea. But I will say my friends who were like right behind the officiants did not get to see us at all. So yeah, view restriction, but it felt really nice for us.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Yes. And we talked a bit before we started recording about spreadsheets.
Yes.
Talk to me about how many spreadsheets you did during the planning process.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like this comes from my job. I love staying organized. And I think because we were communicating with so many different vendors, like I think setting expectations is really important. Just making sure I write down the things that they're telling me, like my kind of action items. And then I'm also making it visible to them, like what I'm expecting my wedding coordinator to bring the day of, things like that. So I ended up having one master spreadsheet that I shared with all of my vendors with contact information for people in my bridal party, all of the vendor contact info, all of a list of physical items that belong to me that we're bringing to the venue, all of our wedding songs, all of our photography list of which family photos we want, and then the timeline of events. So I think that was perfect for day of. And then during the wedding process, Pinterest was fun for inspiration, but I ended up using Coda, which is a Trello board, if you've heard of that, like a to-do list, but like on steroids, because you can add images and links. And so I had a list of all of the items that I needed to do, even buying glow sticks on Facebook Marketplace and sending tips to vendors and getting gifts for them and gifts for bridal party and all of that stuff, all of those little details. And so I could track throughout, this one's in my backlog, this one's in progress, this one I'm waiting on a response for, and these ones are confirmed. But that really helped me.
Did you have a spreadsheet for your budget as well?
Yep, that was actually part of my Coda document. So for every item on there, I had one for each of my vendors, all of the vendors I interviewed too. So like floral budgets, makeup quotes, all of that. So I put like an estimated cost and then I put the actual cost and just closed that out when everything was finally paid. But that helped me have an idea of what to expect as I'm starting to talk to people and have ideas of, oh yeah, we should do a tailgate at Keeneland. That's money in the bank.
Does Seth know the real number that was spent on their wedding?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Ended up. So again, like I wanted to elope, and I think in my mind, for some reason, I was like, oh, 30,000 seems like reasonable. We ended up moving that to 70,000 by the end of it, but we did stay on budget. Okay. So we ended up under that, and that feels like an accomplishment.
And I would say that is probably on par with every apiary wedding.
Yeah.
That's pretty what I would say that you have to go there on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday in October.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Busy time of year. And the venue and food and all of that was 100% the biggest cost. We tried to be thrifty and everything else, but yeah, you can't really get away with the venue cost being expensive.
And then with your dress, so I'm guessing your mother lives out of town?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you go to her for dress shopping? Did she come here for dress shopping?
She came here. So we went to Twirl boutique to try some things on. We had a cute little mother-daughter moment. She was all teary. My dad was like, I can't see photos. I'm not ready.
That's precious.
So I got to try some on, but in my mind, I wanted to keep a dress under 1,000.
Okay.
And I did a lot of searching online too. I was like open to Amazon and Azazi, and I ended up buying a used dress that was the same one that I tried on at Twirl. And the lady there was so nice, Madeline. And she was like telling me, yeah, if you do still white, be sure you're asking questions about it beforehand. Make sure you're thinking about this for sizing. I was very grateful that she said that. But yeah, the new one was just a little over my budget and the used one was half off. So
where did you find the used one at?
It was Still White.
Okay.
Stillwhite.com, yeah.
Okay, I've not heard of that website before. Okay.
I hadn't either, and I wasn't sure how legit it was because it's just random people who post pictures and it's up to you to do all of the communication, but there's not really like a verification system. But it ended up working out. I found my dress and drove 8 hours to Alabama to pick it up. Number one, so I could try it on and see it in person. And number two, I was just nervous about sending her money.
Absolutely.
To someone
Yes.
that I've never met before. And I was like, you know what? I would love to see it in person, just make sure it fits. I would feel like a fool to buy something that's too small or way too big. So I'm glad I did that, but it was a little bit crazy.
I'm just smiling because it's so funny that the stories I hear.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon. Yeah. I met with a bride actually last week. She ended up getting her dress at Goodwill. She said it was $50 and she was like, it was perfect. It doesn't need alterations.
Wow.
We just never know.
Yeah.
But there are some brides that the dress is their number one priority. They don't care what it costs and they're going to walk in to the boutique and they're not leaving without it. Like they're not going to look anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so for you, the food and the experience, it was the priority.
Yep.
And so I love that you were very cautious of your budget on your dress.
Yep. Yeah. And I would say decor and everything like that too. I made signs myself. I bought all of the items from Facebook Marketplace. But like the biggest things for us were like the food and the guest experience. So we tried to make it like a whole wedding weekend for them because the flight tickets to Lexington in October are expensive. So they deserve food every day and events. And we made like a cute little itinerary and a guide of like my favorite places to eat and places to get a snack in between things and stuff like that. So we tried to make that as good as we could.
Did you do a hotel room block?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's October, it was so hard to find hotel rooms. Oh my gosh. I wish we had reserved more earlier. We ended up just blocking 15 rooms at the Residence Inn connected to the Marriott downtown. And then we also got rooms at the Campbell House.
Okay.
So a little further away, but they were great and we ended up like doing a brunch there too. But we needed to lock in some like reasonable, affordable hotel rooms because all of the last minute people who didn't get into a hotel block, I was like, oh gosh, you don't have to come. It's okay. I don't expect you to pay $500 a night like to stay here.
Where did you?
We actually stayed at an Airbnb.
Okay.
Tiny little thing, literally just an attic over someone's house. But it was like literally around the corner from the apiary. So it was everything we needed. We just needed like a spot to like actually sleep and get away from everyone. And it was perfect.
Where did you get ready at?
We got 2 Airbnbs right on Maryland Avenue, just like a block from the apiary. And those were great. That was like plenty spacious. Everyone like had room to settle down. And I think we got the Airbnb on Thursday. So everyone had a night beforehand to get ready and settled in and all that.
And with your guests staying like at the Campbell House and Residence Inn, did you do any type of transportation for them or did they just Uber?
Yeah, we told them to Uber.
Yeah.
Yeah. We offered like some suggestions like, oh, here's some taxi services if you can't find Uber. But nobody had trouble with transportation, luckily.
Good. Yeah, that's always just a tough one.
Yeah.
Especially when people want to do their own things and they're there an extra day. And and two, when you have the room blocks and your guests are staying together and they know each other, they all hop in together.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, they figured it out. Yeah, a couple of our family members, too, came into Cincinnati or Louisville. So they figured out ahead of time, like a carpool situation, renting a car, waiting for each other at the airport. So that worked out because that's a lot cheaper to fly to Cincy or Louisville.
Yes. And then knowing that you were going to be leaving Lexington a few months after the wedding, how did that affect what you registered for?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we are in downsizing mode big time. We only did cash registries because I don't want to wrap things up. I don't want to have to move with them. I'm already at the point where I'm like, I don't want to buy an extra candle. I have enough candles and I'm going to have to wrap every single one up and pack it in a moving box. No wedding registry items. My brother and sister both didn't listen to that. And my brother, actually, his girlfriend is from Shanghai. And her family does like pottery and porcelain. And so they're making us like a custom set of plates and dinnerware, which I'm very excited about.
Yes.
But they're delivering it to our next house.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
So did you, with doing just cash, did you do a PayPal link or a Venmo on your wedding website? How did you do that?
We did it through the knot.com. I didn't realize when we registered on the knot that it charges them a fee to send us money.
I didn't know that either. Okay.
Yep, I didn't know that, and I feel really bad about it. Also explains why so many people send us a check. I wish we had done just like a Venmo, honestly, because all of my friends have Venmo and they wouldn't be weird about it. But we did. We set up, I think, 3 or 4 different funds. So we had the honeymoon fund. We had a ski trip fund, because that's something we love to do together. And then I had a plant collection fund, and Seth had a bourbon collection fund.
Love that.
So it was fun. And we said we like made a game out of it. Like whoever gets more donated to their fund wins for all eternity.
Who won?
I won.
Okay.
By $1.
I love that, though.
I've got good friends.
And see, I would be the friend that would be like, is she winning?
Yeah.
I've got to go back and donate or give her more.
Yeah.
So with that and not registering for anything, did you have any traditional wedding showers?
No. Okay. No, and that was part of just living so far away from everyone. We didn't do any wedding shower. I didn't even do a fancy bachelorette party. We just did something while my family was on vacation. We did like a fun little game night with everybody.
Yeah.
But we already knew that everyone was taking time off and spending a lot traveling to Lexington, so we just wanted to be mindful of that.
Going into the week of the wedding, how many days before the wedding did you take off work?
Originally, I was going to take 3 days off. I'm glad I took the whole week off because there's so many appointments at the last minute. You got to get your hair touched up, apparently. You got to get your nails done fresh. You got to get it. I got like a spray tan and waxing and all of this stuff that like has to happen at the last minute. And lining them up is such a process. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I had to take the whole week off to get all those appointments in.
When you originally had 3 days off, at what point did you decide to go ahead and just take the whole week off?
Really, the biggest deal breaker for me was like when I heard that my family was going to start coming in on Tuesday and Wednesday. It was like, I want to be available. So I had to push all my appointments before they came so I could actually be present with them and spending time with them and getting ready with them and all that stuff.
With the wedding being on Friday night, did you do a rehearsal dinner?
Yeah, it wasn't a traditional rehearsal dinner, which I guess nothing we do was traditional.
Totally fine.
But we invited everyone to Mirror Twin. They have an event space called the Annex. It was super easy. We didn't have to pay a deposit or anything. We just ordered a bunch of pizzas for people. People showed up. We had an open bar. So we kept it like a casual, like welcome event for everybody that was coming into Lexington.
And did you even have rehearsal since you didn't have a traditional wedding party?
We did get together at the venue right before that, but it was maybe like 30 minutes of just, here's where everyone's going to be sitting. You have the rings. Don't forget them. Not in your pocket, like that kind of stuff.
On the wedding day, did you, or even leading up to the wedding day, at any point did you have any meltdowns or freakouts or just like, we should have eloped, any of those moments?
Fortunately, no.
Okay.
I will say the one thing that really got me through wedding planning is someone had told me, only you have the power to ruin your wedding day. It is the way that you react to changes at events, surprises that come up. And I was prepared. Things aren't going to go to plan. And my flowers might not be the color I want or something, or the tablecloths or the napkins might be a different fold than I expected. None of that felt important. So I just had the mindset of make sure you're focusing on what is important. And that's like spending time with all of your family that's there and getting to have this special moment with my husband. So that definitely helped with a lot of things changed last minute. So that was like a whirlwind, but grounded me.
Did you do a first look?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Would you recommend other couples do that?
I think it's nice. I feel like every photographer will tell you like to do a first look because they can have more time to do photos afterwards, like just a couple family photos, and then you can spend more time with your guests and you don't have to be pulled away from everybody. We had originally talked about doing private vows with our first look. We changed that decision last minute and decided to do vows in front of everybody. But like for Seth, he wanted to make sure our vows felt like he was talking to me and I was talking to him, and we weren't just like saying things for other people to hear. But we talked about it and we're like, look, everyone who's in this circle right now knows us, trusts us. There's nothing weird that we're going to say. And some of the inside jokes that we even said, let's keep them in our vows. And if they don't get it, it's okay. They're here for us. They're here to celebrate our relationship, and it doesn't have to be for them. So yeah, we've got good family in that respect where they were just like going along with the flow and happy to just watch whatever was happening for us.
You talked about the food being one of your priorities on the wedding day.
Yeah.
Did you and Seth get the opportunity to actually sit down and eat?
Oh, we did.
Okay.
We did. I can't even remember the food that I ate, to be honest. Now, the one thing that we did that was really nice, right after our ceremony, we had a moment, maybe like 10, 15 minutes in the garden, and they brought us like all of the appetizers and a drink, and we just sat there together and ate. That was like really lovely, and we got to just like debrief and enjoy the moment together. But everything after that was a whirlwind. So I probably had a few bites of something, but not much.
Looking back now, is there anything that you regret about a decision you made for the wedding day that you wish you would have done differently?
Ooh, that is a good question. I think the only thing that I still think about is, you know what? I wish I had invited more people.
Really?
Yeah, because I think I was so afraid to like be an inconvenience and invite people who I knew probably couldn't make it. So there were like some aunts and uncles and like distant cousins and everything that we left off the list. And now I'm like, oh man, like I wish if they wanted to be there, I wish like we would have extended the invite. But I think at the time when we were planning, we were like, oh my gosh, this is how much per plate? Like, it's how much per person? And if I invite everybody, if I invite these aunts and uncles, and I have to invite those aunts and uncles, and it felt like such a huge cost. But now I'm like, oh.
With Seth still being in residency, were you able to take a honeymoon at all?
Not really.
Okay.
It's the short answer. We are looking forward to our real honeymoon in July.
Okay.
Once he graduates. But we took 2 days to go to Red River Gorge with our dog. We just got a cabin. We did some hiking, pretty scenes, hot tub. It was great.
I was going to have a bigger transition into my next topic, but I'm very glad that you did get to take those 2 days. And it's especially hard just to go back to work when you're on such a high. So even if you can't take a full honeymoon right after, absolutely do a day or two just to decompress. Because like during the wedding day, you talked about you got to sit down and eat appetizers together and the rest of it's whirlwind.
Yeah. Even like we came back, we had most of the day at home before we went to work the following day. That was great. Just like having time at home and just like getting to soak it all in. And we do like highlights and lowlights where we like talk about the day. And so like just moments like that, I feel were really nice.
I love that. Do you have any advice for couples that are planning a wedding now?
Ooh, I feel like think about what you want to prioritize and don't be afraid to get rid of all the extra fluff. Because I was trying to stick to my budget and be thrifty with everything else that I could. So like for florals, we didn't do flowers for the whole bridal party. It was just my bouquet. We didn't do like aisle flowers. We just had a couple. And we had bud vases and things to save money on. The wedding shower and things like that, I feel like we cut out because it just wasn't a priority for us. So I feel like, I don't know, it's definitely a struggle between what you want to do and like what you can reasonably spend. So I feel like think about what you care about and just prioritize that. And you don't have to match anyone else's wedding. Like it can be true to you. You don't have to do every single thing. It's okay to be a little different.
I love that. I just did another podcast with a bride that is a little younger than you, and her priorities were very different.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting seeing the difference and hearing the different perspectives.
Yeah.
And there's no right way and no wrong way.
Yeah.
It's whatever is important to you and the vendors that are important and the experiences.
Yeah.
So I love everything that you just said.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong answer for this question. And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. When it came to tipping your vendors, I feel like we do anything now and you're asked for a tip.
Yep.
Whenever I used to do full service planning, it was tipping wasn't even like a thing at that point for wedding vendors.
Yeah.
And then the more I did it, that would pop up. And it was usually for couples that lived in bigger cities that were coming to the small town.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like the small town people that did that. And now I feel like it is talked about with every single wedding, no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
What did you feel about tipping in regards to your vendors? Did you tip any of them? Did you not tip some of them? How did you decide on that whole topic?
Yeah. No, that's a good question. That probably plagued me more than anything. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I was like, what's an appropriate amount to tip? Do I need to tip them that night? Do I do it after? I talked to my day of coordinator, and she was like, honestly, it's really nice to get a note after the fact. So we sent out thank you notes recently, like a couple weeks ago, with tips to florals, makeup and hair, and the band, and the like event staff. But I feel like I'm trying to think of what other vendors there even would have been that we
Photography, florals.
Yes. Okay. We had our friends do photography.
Okay.
So for that kind of stuff, like we gave them like a cute little gift, like memory thing. I feel like what I hear is the most important thing is sharing your review, giving those 5-star reviews and being vocal about it. Whenever I see someone ask for hair recommendations or floral recommendations on Facebook, I'm like, look. So I feel like reviews are important. I know notes are appreciated. But I don't know. I do feel like with the culture we're in now, like tipping is expected. I would just feel guilty. Not doing it.
And see, we would never want you to feel that way.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. And the notes and the reviews, they really do mean more than anything.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we talk about is we know that you do spend so much money on the wedding day.
Yeah.
And it is completely okay if you do want to tip 4 months later, 5 months later. It's completely normal to send somebody, a vendor, a note a year later.
Yeah.
Like, we know it takes time to do that. I literally, before I came today, I sent a thank you note for a Christmas gift to a vendor. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry, it's 2 months late. Thank you so much for this. I really did appreciate it. It's been sitting here on my to-do list, but thank you.
Yeah.
So,
That makes me feel better about being late.
did you send, talking about thank you notes, did you do thank you notes for your guest?
Yes.
And your gifts?
We probably didn't do the best system on that. Again, cutting costs, we did email invitations.
Okay.
So we didn't send physical cards out to anyone. I wish I had collected addresses at some point, maybe when people are RSVPing, because we did have to do a lot of digging to find everyone's address for thank you notes. But yeah, I feel like we just wrote a couple custom words for everyone, just because they did sacrifice a lot to be here. I feel like they deserve it.
I really appreciate you acknowledging that they did sacrifice to be here. I don't think that every couple acknowledges that. And they do spend a lot of money to come and be here. And they spend vacation time, they spend travel time.
Yep.
So I think absolutely important that you know that. What has life been like after the wedding? We're 4 or 5 months out now.
Yeah.
What is life like without wedding planning as part of your daily agenda?
So I really loved wedding planning. I think it was so fun. I got to be like so creative, creating signs and just different decor items and everything. So I definitely felt a void afterwards. It definitely took me a couple weeks where I was just relaxing and enjoying having some free time and not having something that's looming over you. But I got back into it, planning my honeymoon, getting back into like all of the planning and thinking about that. And then I've had some other different creative outlets, crocheting, and I'm organizing my whole house, adding labels to everything, doing all these crazy things. Yeah. So just repurposing that energy somewhere else.
Are you changing your last name?
Oh, hot topic.
Okay.
I will at some point. My mom just sent a card to the Teplitsky family, even though she knows I haven't changed my last name yet. So she is very ready for me to change my last name. And,
Wow, okay.
and she's very traditional. Okay. We'd love that. We'd love that for her.
Yes.
I think that's great. I think it's something that I want to do when kids become part of the picture, and we're a couple years out from that. Okay. So I like the idea of like our kids having the same last name and be sharing that. But for right now, I'm like, I'm good. We know our relationship. Like, he knows how much I value him and what he means to me, and it's good enough for now.
I love that. I love everybody's story. And two, you're going to be able to travel on your passport for the honeymoon. You're not going to have to update your license when you go to North Carolina right now. Mm-hmm. So there are definitely some benefits to not doing it right now.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because one of my friends eloped just a few weeks before our wedding, and her passport got lost. So when she tried to change her name. So who knows what's going to happen. But I'm glad that I waited.
Any final advice to couples that are listening when it comes to planning their wedding?
The other piece of advice that I feel like was really good is don't buy decor too early. I really was like searching Facebook Marketplace every day, like 9 months before the wedding. And I'm so glad that I didn't buy too much stuff then, because my vision changed so much between then and like a few months beforehand. So I feel like those things are easy to acquire. Like, it's okay to take time. I know that you want a really good deal and it's very tempting. But yeah, I wish I had listened to that a little bit more.
I'm just going to end there because I preach that on every single episode to not buy stuff, especially so far in advance, because it does change and your vendors have that stuff.
Yep.
All of those.
Oh my gosh. There were so many things that I bought that Elena, my coordinator, was like, why'd you buy that? I could have gotten you that. I have that, or I could have gotten you that for half the price. Like,
anything else, though? Seriously,
no, that's all.
Awesome. Colleen, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you sharing so much about your wedding day and just honestly educating other couples that are getting married here. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
Yes, you too. For more information about Simply Love Studio or to schedule your wedding consultation, go to simplylovestudio.com.